Brothers and sisters, welcome to our today's program of NJO. Today is the day of the 11th of December 2018. My name is Don Bulamba. I'm the presenter of this program and I'll be with you for the next few minutes in order to talk about the news from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So I'll invite you to be with us for the rest of the time. Before we start, I will just invite you by saying that if this is your first time you join our programs, I'll be quite happy to invite you and suggest to you to click on the subscription button. Push that button to subscribe to our program. So whenever we are online, you can be alerted. And secondly, there is a bell which is down here. You can click on that bell and as soon as we put our videos online, you can also be alerted. And after watching my program, I will encourage you, I will also invite you to click on like, and this will give us like a type of boost to our programs and other many people can watch it too. Furthermore, please distribute, share our videos with as many as people you can, friends, colleagues, people that you know, in order to spread the news and to let other people to be aware of what has been taking place back home in DRC. So without taking longer, my dear brothers and sisters, let us go to our headlines. Dr. Denis Mukwege said on Monday, December the 10th, he was in Oslo, Norway, during the official presentation of the Nobel Prize, that the fight against impunity is the only way to end sexual violence. And then we'll talk about the election in the DRC, where on Monday, 10th of December in Kinshasa, the SADC, the Southern African Development Community, and the African Union launched election observation mission for the elections on the 23rd of December 2018 in the DRC. And the European Union extends sanctions against the Congolese personalities. And furthermore, it's not up to the EU, it's not up to the European Union to tell us how we should live, said Joseph Kabila. So this is our news today, and we are going just to talk about those 3 points, and at the end of it, I will do a type of comment at the end, but my comment this time will be to ask you a few questions. Meaning that I will say a little bit, then I will leave it up to you to conclude. And the answers that you'll get, keep it for yourself or you can share with others during our programs. So once again, thank you very much for choosing us. Thank you for choosing NJO, and let's start our news in details now. Denis Mukwege said on Monday, December 10th, in Oslo, Norway, during the official presentation of the Nobel Prize, that the fight against impunity is the only way to end sexual violence. He said, "What happened in Kavumu and continues today in many villages in the DRC, including rape and massacres in Beni and Kasai, was made possible by the absence of a state of right, the collapse of traditional values, and the rule of impunity, especially for those in power. Rape, massacres, torture, widespread insecurity, lack of education create an unprecedented spiral of violence. Only the fight against impunity can break the spiral of sexual violence, and we all have the power to change the course of history when the beliefs we fight for are just right." He dedicated his Nobel Prize to all victims of sexual violence around the world. In his speech, he called on states to combat the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war and to support the initiative to create a global fund for reparations for victims of sexual violence in armed conflict. And the planet stops ignoring the sexual violence taking place in the DRC. It is not only the perpetrators of violence who are responsible for their crimes, but also those who choose to look away. If war is to be waged, it is the war against indifference, and that is eating away at our society, he said. Remember, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded on the 5th of October 2018 to a Congolese doctor, Denis Mukwege, and Yazidie Nadia Murad, a former slave of Islamic State group, who are working to end the use of sexual violence as means of war weapon. And for those who want to watch this video of Mukwege, they can go to our website, our channel, YouTube channel, NJO, and I've posted it there in integrality. 10th of December in Kinshasa, the Southern African Development Community and the African Union launched the election observation mission for the elections on 23rd of December. With regard to SADC, the mission consists of 94 members from 8 African countries, including 73. Among those 94 are included 73 field observers. This mission will not be deployed in all 26 provinces of the DRC. It will be limited to 16. However, the African Union, ECCAS, and ICCRLR will deploy more than 100 observers who will play the same role of observers for the rest of the provinces. European Union has announced the extension of 1 year until December 2019 of its sanctions against 14 senior officials of the regime of Congolese President Joseph Kabila. The latter are accused of violence during demonstrations in September 2016. The sanctions, which consist of an asset freeze and a visa ban for the European Union, include Shadary Ramazani, presidential candidate for the FCC, according to official EU document. The Congolese personalities affected by these sanctions are Ilunga Kampete, Gabriel Amisi Kumba, Ferdinand Ilunga Luyoyo, Célestin Kanyama, John Numbi, Roger Kibelisa, Delphin Kaimbi, Evariste Boshab, Alex Kende Mupompa, John Claude Kazembe Musonda, Lambert Mende, Eric Ruorimpere, Ramazani Shadary, and Kalev Mutonde. Joseph Kabila said that it's not up to the European Union to tell us how we should live. We want to have a peaceful elections during and even after without violence, he said in an exclusive interview with the BBC on Monday. These elections are a really challenge, and we want to have a good election, not just the day of the vote, but we want peace after the election, he added. Regarding the sanctions of the European Union against Ramazani Shadary, Joseph Kabila believes that it's not up to the European Union to tell us how we must live. In these elections, if Shadary is elected, he will not be the president of the European Union, but the president of the Congolese, he said. The European Union decided Monday to renew for 1 year the sanctions against Shadary, as I've just said, and other personalities close to Kabila, and they are accused of obstruction of the electoral process and repressions against the opposition. The question of whether his party's decision to present Shadary as a candidate will not be a maneuver for him in the manner of Putin and Medvedev. I don't know what you are talking about, laughed Joseph Kabila. In his eyes, the absence of observers from the European Union is not synonymous with a bad election in the DRC. We will have observers from La Francophonie, SADC, and other African organizations, he said. And the presence of EU observers is no guarantee of a good election. As for the elections held in Beni and in Turi, where the Ebola epidemic is raging, Joseph Kabila remains confident. He says, it's a challenge we are going to face. We have expertise against Ebola, and the added challenge is insecurity, but we are going to get over this. This is our news for today. Now, my little comment that I will do, just a little comment really, it will just be a way of saying something, and it's up to you to give the answer or to think about it. We have all heard what has been taking place, because my comment will just focus on the European Union and the answers that Joseph Kabila has given to BBC and to Reuters during an interview. So let's start now, and I'll call it just the analysis of our day, of today. We have seen Sheikh Okitundu. Sheikh Okitundu is a foreign minister for this government of Kabila. He threatened the EU with retaliatory measures if the EU did not give up its sanctions against Shadary and all the others. Furthermore, the African Union, or African Union, also have tried and also have been negotiating with the European Union to lift these sanctions for those 14 people. And my question, or the question to you is, why did the AU, African Union, and the Congolese government negotiate this lifting of sanctions? What is the motive behind this negotiation? We have got hundreds, if not thousands, of Congolese people who have been jailed, who have been living in jails here and there. And no one intervenes, no one negotiates for their cases, no one so far, including African Union, intervene for the case of those who are in jails. So now what has been happening for these 14? Why are those 14 so more important, to the point that the whole country, the whole government has been fighting or have been negotiating for this lifting of sanction? Furthermore, those 14 people are Congolese, are members of the government and have been working for the government. Now, what is going to happen if those sanctions are not lifted? The answer is from you. You are the one who have to answer those questions. We have seen many innocent people in jail, and you have heard about them, politicians, civilians, military, and so on. And they have been there, locked in. And for all this time, no one talks. Let us move on. Kabila, naturally Kabila doesn't talk that much. He's very often quiet. And for the past weeks, he was so quiet, he couldn't, to the point that the Congolese people started even to forget about his existence. He was really, really quiet. But suddenly, he has just spoken. And he intervened during those 2 interviews. And if you carefully look or you carefully listen to his interventions, you'll understand that his language, his way of answering, someone would say his way of answering was not really a diplomatic way. Somehow, depending on the ways, at the context that you take it. His answers, saying for instance that the European Union, if Shadary will become the president of the Congo tomorrow, the European Union should stay maybe away from this matter, meaning that Shadary won't be the president for the European Union, but will be the president for the Congolese people. What do you think about such answers? And normally, under the sun, in our world, everything has a time. There is time for everything. A good thing or bad thing, it can take 10 years or 60 years, but every single thing has its time. And whenever the time reaches, you can't add more on top of it. It's like when death comes, you can't even bribe death. You can't tell death, okay, I will give you this in exchange so I can live longer. It doesn't work because that's the end. That's the end, and we can't change that. So now, it's understood that this government, this regime is coming to its end. These people, those political actors who have been working in this regime, are they going to be handed over to the ICC, or should they be tried in the DRC? There is a lot of damage. There is a lot of things which were done. What do you think should be better for them to be tried in La Haye, in the Netherlands, to the ICC, or again they should be tried in the DRC? And someone told me, questioned even me, or again he cheered me if you want, and he said, if a former president of different countries such as Brazil, France and so on have been prosecuted by the laws of their countries, why not senators in a country like ours, the DRC? Although those people, those who have been the head of the state, those who have been acting, working for this regime, some of them, or a few of them, at the end of their career, they will become members, they will become senators. Now the question is to know, should they be prosecuted? If they can prosecute a president of developed countries, why not to prosecute senators of developing countries? That was a question which was asked to me, and I'll pass it on to you for you to find an answer. Because, for instance, Kabila will be the senator for life, and others will be also senators. Up to you. What do you think? What can we do? What do you suggest? In our today's world, we are now living in the 21st century. The realities of today differ from the realities of 26 or 60 years ago. For today's realities, no one remains untouchable. Whenever you do something, you have to expect for the consequences. You have to expect for the result. You have to expect something to come from it. And no one will let it just pass because it's you. And the DRC is not a jungle where there is no rules, where those who are powerful can easily do whatever they want against those who are weak. They slot, they rape, they kidnap, they incarcerate the innocent, believing that the international community has or will have no power to intervene or to respond to the cry of the victims of tyranny. The DRC is not the only country of this planet. We have got other countries surrounding us, and those countries need us. Those countries also, on our turn, we need them. For instance, if we talk about electrical vehicles today, those who make those cars, they need coltan to make the batteries for those cars. Those who make the mobile phones, smartphones especially, they need coltan to make those phones. And all of that proves that really we are needed, and we also need others. And anything which will touch the Congo, our neighbors, those who are in the world, will also feel its impact. Therefore, the international community has the right to stand and to intervene. Whenever human right is violated in the Congo, those who are outside, whenever they will hear the cry of the Congolese, they have the right to intervene and to support the weak, to support those who cannot do anything. And whoever who does not understand this, I may say that maybe that person should again go back to primary school. Saying that the European Union should stay astray, shouldn't consider Shadary as to become a president of the European Union, but he's a president of the Congolese. Of course, the sovereignty exists, but problems with neighbors, problems with others, their joy should be our joy, their pain should be our pain. Whether on the earth or elsewhere, those who have been killing, those who have been, doing those bloody crimes, they will end up to pay for the price. How many bodies, places where they bury bodies are around the Congo? How many people have disappeared? How many Congolese people were killed or have been killed? How many foreigners have been assassinated? How many expatriates, if you want, have been killed in the Congo? And among them are even peacekeepers, UN peacekeepers, UN experts, businessmen, Congolese people, men, women, children. And all of those people have been killed either by poison, by machetes, by firearms, and by several ways, just to exterminate everybody so that they can continue to reign. And unfortunately, no one will reign forever. No one came to this earth to be here forever. Everything has its time, and whenever the time comes, no one can stop it. After doing all those massacres, should the world supposed to be quiet? Should everybody just be quiet and observe? Should everybody keep silence without trying to intervene? Now the European Union is intervening for the case of those 14. You as a Congolese, as a friend of the Congo, what would you say? Is it okay, or will it be good for the Congolese to support the demand of the government of the Congo for the lifting of sanctions against the 14, or would you support the idea of a European Union to maintain those sanctions or even to add more. In the past, Joseph Kabila said he will only leave the power only if he gets a bullet in his head. But how does he today forget about that declaration? And he has been asking people, demanding through his interview, he said, we wanted to see the election going through a climate of peace, a peaceful election, and that peace shouldn't only stop there, the day of the election, but after the election too. Is it a way of telling us that after the election, something worse may happen? Is it a way of warning us that something is coming ahead? Or is it a way of telling us that, you know, there is a problem somewhere and maybe I'm afraid and I don't want the bullet in my head anymore, better to organize the elections? And if he's afraid, what is he afraid of? Why should he be even afraid? Why does he need even to be scared if he's scared, you know? Of what? And I wonder, after the 23rd of December, after the election, what is going to happen? Where is he going to hide himself? Where do these people of the government going to hide themselves? What are they going to do? What are they going to tell the new government to tell the people of the Congo? Are they going to go to Europe? For instance, you know, Kabila, his name is not on that list. He can easily go to Europe. But what is going to happen? It's up to you to answer those questions. What do you think? What do you think? And you wonder, or we wonder all together, his name is not on this list. Why does he have to mangle in this story? Why even does he put his feet into it? Maybe possibly because he loves those 14 more than those who have been jailed or incarcerated for all this time. Or again, possibly, maybe he has a hand in this business. Maybe among those 14, someone one day will tell us about Kabila. And to avoid that, so those people shouldn't be, you know, sanctioned. We don't know. It's up to you to think. What is your thought from this message? People continue to believe that at 95% the elections will not happen into the Congo. They may not take place. And if they take place and Shadary doesn't win these elections, what will this regime become? What is going to happen for Kabila, for his ministers, for all the government authorities? Isn't it necessary or important for the Congolese people to remember the blood of the innocent children, innocent young people, innocent adults? Blood that continues to cry before the throne of God, if you want. Blood which was shred on the land of the Congo, where ancestors of the Congo can sit and can feel it. But they don't want these people to be sanctioned. They want them to be free. After the killing in September 2016, after whatever happened, and there is a lot behind this, but they don't want them to be prosecuted. But what they forget is that the prosecution of God is tougher. The justice of God is tougher than the justice of human. The DRC has been holding its breath for several months, And for good reasons, the presidential elections must be held shortly, more precisely on December the 23rd, as you know. And to get there was not easy for the opponents, the opposition. They accused Kabila of wanting to stay at all costs in the power, and those members of the opposition had to fight for an election date. Some opposition leaders like Moses Katumbi or John Peter Bemba have even been dismissed, and Gizenga and Muzito by the authorities in charge of the election. But that does not matter. The bottom line for the opposition is that the election takes place and that they can discard Joseph Kabila and his system of power. But the letter seems to have other designs. And for good reason. In an interview with Reuters, Kabila, although he is not on the list of the candidate for the next elections, the coming elections, he does not intend to be forgotten for all of that. Better, he decided to take inspiration from the Russian President Vladimir Putin by considering to present himself in 5 years later. Meaning that he wanted to come back and present himself. As a reminder, in order to respect the constitution, President Putin had left power a few years ago by letting his brother Dmitry Medvedev to take power. He returned after the end of his term, an approach that was completely legal. President Kabila, who wishes that the election takes place under the best conditions, therefore won't, or at least does not exclude, to imitate the letter. He said, why not wait until 2023 to consider things? In life as in politics, I do not exclude anything, he said. So the members of the opposition know what to expect. Let us do this comment again. Russian constitution, of course, allowed Putin to come back to power. But now, what does the Congolese constitution say? The Article 70 states that the president of the republic is elected by direct universal suffrage for a 5-year term renewable once. People have to go to the election, they will elect the president, and once the president is there for 5 years, he can renew again his position. He can apply one time more. However, the constitution does not clearly stipulate that former president cannot come back and postulate or become candidate for the presidentials. It doesn't say so. So they can. However, although that is allowed, I wonder if this constitution will continue to stay or will remain the same for the next 5 years. Because through that constitution, in this constitution, we have found a few things which have made those today in power, they are just hanging there and they can't leave. They cannot even fix a few things because of the text of the constitution. And I wonder if those will come into power, they will try to review those mistakes and fix what is supposed to be fixed. What do you think? And looking at the conditions that these people have been leading the country through, the way that they have been working with us, the way that they have been leading Congo Democratic, are you really sure that in 2023, these people will be allowed to postulate to become again candidate for the presidential position of the country or for key positions in the coming governments? It's up to you to answer that question. And the other thing is that for Putin to return to power, it seems that his record of governing was positive. People of Russia enjoyed, discovered something, discovered a positive change. So the record is positive. What about the record of the Congo? What do you say? You as a listener, you as a person who is watching me, what do you think about changes in the Congo? Is it a positive change or a negative one? Furthermore, does the DRC or will the DRC need a future president known as Joseph Kabila Kabange in 2023? It's up to you to answer that question. At the time of a exchange of, seats in Russia, the handover took place between the president and his prime minister, and they used to rotate. And how will this going to happen into the Congo? If Martin Fayulu becomes the president of the Congo, how will Kabila will play this scenario of Russia, will apply it into the Congo? If Tshisekedi becomes the president of the Congo, how will Kabila going to apply this process, Russian process of change of power in the Congo? And maybe if Shadary becomes the president of the Congo, is it really going to be easy to do so? Will Shadary just say, yes, here I am because I'm a Delphin, come and do whatever you want to do, and I'm here for you. Step on me and do whatever you want. We do not know. What do you think? And this miracle can only happen maybe if Kabila was God, because only God knows everything, only God sees everything, only God can control everything. Imagine if today we can say, okay, if we had the power to bring Lumumba back to life, to bring Chimpavita to life, to bring Simoki Mbangu to life, to bring back Mobutu, to bring back Laurent Désiré Kabila and Kasavubu, and present them the situation of the Congo today, telling them, what do you think about the DRC right now? What will they be their answers? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think they would say about the Congo in the 21st century? And some of those people left behind some work, some project, which were not completed. But where are they now? Did this government complete those projects? Or is just the project stopped there and that's it? While the predecessors put a lot of money in those projects, put a lot of money in a lot of things, but nothing was achieved. It's true that Putin, or again Dmitry, they love their country. They love Russia. For that reason, they fight so hard. They fight very hard for the love of their countries. Do you really think that Kabila loves the DRC? Do you really think that Kabila has some feeling for the people of the Congo? The answer is yours. Does he value Congolese? Does he value his country or our country? Such answer will come from you. So I'll stop there for today and saying thank you very much for your time, for everything you have done, for your courage, for your passions, for your contribution, for everything. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your effort. Our Congo is one country. We'll continue to be one. We'll continue to be strong. We'll continue to be united and together, holding our hands together in love. We will win. You can have faith in God, You can be someone who prays every day, which is good, but I will have to remind you that some of these people, they also work. They want to keep themselves under the power of darkness. They want to use magics. They want to use mysticism. They want to use, I don't know, witchcraft in order to continue to be the leaders. And the remedy for witchcraft, the remedy for magic, and all of those stuff are prayers. So if you pray, you know what I mean, praying. If you pray, their power changes to weakness. If they believe that they are strong, then they'll become weak. Through your prayers and your faith, because a faith without actions is a dead faith. Through your prayers and faith, then add your little actions, and I'll also contribute with my little ones. Then things will change. Because there is time for everything under the sun. This is time for them to leave, and the new government should step in. May God bless the Congo. May God bless all our friends, all the people of the world, and we should be there one for another one. Thank you very much. God bless you, and let me say good morning, good afternoon, goodbye, and maybe good evening. It depends wherever you are. Thank you, and talk to you next time. Goodbye.